Historically, man has ruled man, and this has remained forever. And it is obviously the survival of the fittest. So, this has been in the human DNA for since forever, that if a man is strong, or if a set of people or a set of group of people are strong, whether politically, militarily, or intellectually, they will dominate the others. This is how it has always been. And militarily, it is no different, because the conflicts will lead to peace. And you can't guarantee peace without conflict. So this has been forever. So coming back to your question, since we are here in Kashmir, we are in Valley. So this is also the land where Guru Hargobind Sahib and Chhemi Patshahi has been here. So I'll talk about one iconic battle which is associated with Guru Hargobind Sahib and Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, because अभी थोड़े दिन पहले उनका शहीदी गुरपुरब गया है नवंबर में. So this is the Battle of Kartarpur, fought on 25th of April 1635 in Kartarpur. And the numbers are very odd. There are 1100 soldiers on the Sikh side, and there are 50,000 plus on the Mughal side. So you have generals like Painda Khan, Kale Khan. Kale Khan was governor of Peshawar. And then you have Khoje Anwar. So these are big names back in those days. And Painda Khan had actually shifted his loyalty from Guru Hargobind Sahib to the Mughal Shah Jahan. What happened in the war changed the name of Guru Tegh Bahadur, which was actually Tyagmal. So from Tyagmal he became Guru Tegh Bahadur, because the kind of johar he had shown in the battlefield, the way he used his sword, which is called a Tegh. So he actually proved his name twice. His second name, Tegh Bahadur, first in the battlefield of 1635, and in 1675, when he gave up his life, Panta Sahib would know, for Pandit Kirparam, on his request, when the delegation of Kashmiri Pandits went to him, and then, he eventually gave his life at Red Fort. So having talked about that, there are several iconic battles. So, the end of the war was 48,000 killed on the Mughal side, and 700 survived on the Sikh side. So 400 versus 48,000. So that was a battle. And then Saragadi, we all know. And then my father's regiment, the Kumaon Regiment, 13th Battalion, Charlie Company, Major Sitan Singh Bhati, Rezangla. So these are the battles which tell you of how resilient or how determined a soldier can be. When we talk about conflict, like you said, conflict these days, there was a time when there were discipline in war. When, armies would go into battle, they would not fight after sunset. They would not harm the civilian population. They would not destroy the crops. There were certain rules of engagement in war. But they have changed now. Like General Saab mentioned 7th October, so they have actually targeted and killed infants, children, women, elderly, and there was easy targets of targets. So that has caused, like General Saab said, has unleashed a war which neither side can control now. So similarly, the conflicts that we have today within the society, we'll be talking about it probably tomorrow, the point 5. So the conflicts we have within the society are also sort of a war that the civilians are facing. Well, between armies, you recognize soldiers by their uniform, the color of the uniform, or the pattern of the uniform, that he's an enemy soldier or he's a friendly soldier, or the insignias or the colors they wear, you can recognize. But how do you recognize the enemies on the street? How do you recognize all that? So the war, like you rightly said, has come to our home, come to our streets. In case of the Israelis who faced this, it came to their bedrooms. It came to their families. So the nature of war, the rules of engagement, and a certain discipline no longer exists. So it is, if I may, it's a crazy, wild animal which is willing to kill anyone which comes its way. And from Kashmir and from Punjab, drawing a similar parallel, you would know that if a Kashmiri Muslim is pro India at the peak of militancy, he will be killed for being pro India. And if a Sikh is pro India at the peak of militancy, he will be killed for being a pro India. So, religion here is not a matter, the ideology is. The thought behind any war is, the idea behind any war is. So, I am of a very strong opinion that to stop war coming to your doorsteps, you should be brutally prepared for it and ready to strike a preemptive if you know what is coming your way. So that is the only way you can avoid a war. But once you get into it, I completely agree, and I have to repeat it again, nobody can actually control the outcome and how long it lasts and how wide it goes. And like you initially said, that people have a misconception that Indians or our culture is more of a spiritual culture and we don't have a history of war or aggression. Go ask the Afghans when their mothers, even till date in chaste Pashto, would say, Chupsha Hari Singh Ragale. Just keep quiet, Hari Singh is going to come. So we belong to a society, we belong to a country, we belong to a culture where you can actually have such a deep impact on your enemy, its culture and traditions, that till date, I don't know how many of you know that Pak Rangers wear a salwar kameez as a part of their uniform. And that is, by the way, historically given to them by the Sikh troops of Hari Singh Nalwa. Because the only people who were not attacked or hit by the Sikh forces were women in salwar and kameez. So that's how the Pathans, the brave Qaum they call themselves, started wearing salwar kameez. So agar ye koi bolta hai, aapko somebody tells you that we don't have a history of violence, we don't have a history of aggression, you're wrong. We didn't conquer, I don't know how many people would know the concept of Swarna Bhumi. The concept of Swarna Bhumi starts from Syria, lands up to Cambodia, Iran, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore. All of these areas were part of Swarna Bhumi. So we didn't get all those places without a war, without a conflict. Spiritually, culturally, today we can think of dominating the world. But the yesteryears, I think our ancestors were very different lot from us.